All right, thank you very much, Sofa, for your submission. And we go now to one of the internal crises that we have, which is the NLC and TUC protests, which we saw took place on Tuesday all across the nation. And the events unfolding as we see now. First, we learned, okay, the president was speaking with the leaders, and subsequently there was going to be a suit, a court suit against the NLC, and now the NLC is threatening strike. And let's say this report so we know what Nigerians are even singing on that. Then we return to take the discussion.
The nationwide protest is no doubt an attestation that organized labor in Nigeria has woken up to the responsibilities of representation of workers' interest, collective bargaining with employers, and providing support and protection for workers. Trade unions play a vital role in protecting workers' rights and improving their working conditions, as well as promoting industrial peace and stability.
That's our protest. Now it's a signal to them that we can strike anytime, whether court or no court, because the court themselves, they have staff. The judge themselves, they have staff. The staff are not happy. Without those staff working in the judiciary, no judge will be able to sit down and say that they are judging on the case or they are passing any injunction or any other.
It was appearing as if the government was capturing, by way of silencing, the voice of the people. If not that, government will not continue to be doing something else different from what they have on the table.
The argument in the public space is that labor unions' demands are basically for workers, whereas the economic problems in Nigeria is being felt by everyone was described as unnecessary because labor unionism is basically for affairs of workers, both formal and informal.
We cannot say whether we are capitalist, mixed economy. We don't know the system we are using in this country. They say democracy today, they say advanced democracy tomorrow, and and democracy is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. But what we are seeing nowadays is quite different from what we were taught in the school. But however, our demand cross across the board.
It's like, I wouldn't want to say we are usurping the functions of government itself, but we have found ourselves in a position that we believe that government don't listen to the generality of the people, and that's the reason why labor unions have assumed the vanguard of speaking for the people. So first and foremost, interest of our members must be protected, which
What we saw just now says Labour leaders are waking up to the challenges in the country. So the first thing I really want to ask is the timing right for the nationwide protest? Yes, demanding, we know the issues at hand, economic crisis is biting hard, but is the time right for protest, given also that the government is just a few weeks over 2 months in office? And is it now a case of labor leaders are waking up to the challenges in the country?
Thank you so much. Let's face the facts as they evolve. I think, with all due respect, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu took the first wrong step forward. Yes.
Which is?
Yeah, which one? That his speech that, subsidy on food is gone without even that, part of the speech in the paper, whatever he was reading. That was one. So what have we seen over the past 2 months? We've seen this issue of being jumpy, issues of lack of thinking through issues of lack of coordination of policies, issues of personal, whatever I want for this country is what must prevail. That is not democracy. I'll tell you that. For instance, after removing the fuel subsidy, before thinking of palliative, it's never done. I've never heard of that anywhere else. You cannot put the cart before the horse. Yes, palliatives must come and then all along. And interestingly, these are the same set of people that were against the fuel subsidy removal by the former president Goodluck Jonathan. These were the same people that hit the streets and started canvassing for one thing or the other. And what we have seen over the past 8 years, has there been any form of what they call integrity in the governance?
So
the way we have. So for me, the timing is right. I know, but Nigerians have been asking, where is Labour Congress? Are they still existing? Well, we can see that they are existing. And now, the second mistake that was made was this. While there were committees set up by the president himself, including NLC, the TUC, and some other unions, that let them look at the so-called palliatives that the government was going to do, and they will come up with their decisions. They have not come up with their decisions, but the president came up again and said that we are going to give what? Some billions to many families. Over some months. So it's never done. Some legal experts have stated it clearly that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu does not even have the right to, announce all these sums of money, huge sums of money that said he was going to give as palliatives, because the cabinet has not been formed. They are just on it. So I am advising, with all sense of honesty, that before policies are made, it should be from bottom up, from the people that you say you are leading. What do they really need? What do they want? Do you understand? American government still pays fuel subsidy. China still pays fuel subsidy. And my own question has been,
but everyone agrees it's no longer sustainable.
It's no longer sustainable. But the president himself did point out that there were a group of people, few people that benefited. Where are they? And why are you? That's culture of impunity. Slapping them on the list and letting them go. All the people are now, the analysts are now calling for a thorough investigation into who are the, and nobody's ox should be God. They don't care. Let those who are involved, those who have been stealing, who have been taking our subsidy, let them be brought to speedy justice. Let them be brought to book. Okay. So that, let me say this, you don't punish the poor for the sins and the crimes of the rich, who are very few. In 2013, when President Obama faced a similar situation, what did he do? He left the poor alone. He increased the tax of the rich. Within 1 year, the economy stabilized. So what are we saying? The government is too jumpy. The government is not articulating what it really wants. The government is not democratic enough to find out from the people, right at the grassroots, what are their basic necessities? What do they really need? And some of us are questioning the fact that, can you imagine at this critical time that the lawmakers want what? They want to spend the 40 billion to acquire bulletproof cars and the 70 billion for their own palliatives. People that were on 33 million per month before that refused.
There was a clarification to that the money that will be given to them, as mentioned by President, is a budgetary allocation. It's not for palliatives.
Let me tell you.
We need to clear that out.
No, that is not true. Going by what the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio said a few days ago, he did say that they need money. They need more money. Let me tell you this. Within the last 2 months, there have been allegations of increase in electricity tariff. I think you heard that.
It has been suspended.
Wait. Yes. Then what? That there was going to be introduction of tuition fee in federal government universities, colleges of education and polytechnics, but they've now said no.
They are discretionary charges.
So what I'm saying is that as a leader, you have vision, you have commitment, you have insight, you have, a compassion. These factors must come together, and you have character. So you have to look at the people I'm serving. What are their needs? And for instance, I'm somebody on Facebook, on what do you call it, WhatsApp and some other handles. I have been asking for years that our politicians should be placed on civil salary scale. Yes, they don't need. It's not like really. Governing Nigeria, is it rocket science? So this king-slave mentality is a big problem here. You have what? You have few leaders taking virtually all the money, and then you have few. The majority are languishing. It's never done.
So you are justifying that the timing is right.
The timing is right. We don't want, in the ante, for my background, I'm a biologist and of course food technology. But let me look at it. When you look at an ante, you have the workers and the soldier ants. What do? They don't rest. They work all day to satisfy the king and the queen. We don't want that type of system here in Nigeria.
Let's look at the demands of the NLC. As also said in the visual that we saw, that many are saying the demands are not for the general public, it's just for civil workers. Now they are also demanding palliatives, salary review. Is that a fight for all? Because not the whole masses are civil workers, not all of them. So can we justify the demands? Are these demands right? Is it a fight for all?
Let me explain one other critical issue. You see, the situation we have now, we should put the right things forward. There is what we call priority list. You look at what's the most important thing. The most important thing now is what? Giving us an enabling environment for businesses to try for industrial revolution here in Nigeria. That's the first thing that is required. Yeah, all this demand for salaries and all the rest, they're asking for it because they know exactly what the politicians are taking. And that is what I've been crying about for years. I've been telling people, if you go through my book, Drumbeats of Democracy, that was published in 2018 to mark my 65th birthday, it's a compilation of my writings for over 40 years here in Nigeria, in the UK, in the US, all focused on how do we have good governance in Nigeria. I've asked several questions. When will our policies be people-oriented? I've asked the question, you as a leader, what are your legacies? What are you leaving behind? For instance, at this moment, do we need 11 private jets for anybody here in Nigeria? No. This is the time for sacrifice, self-sacrifice. This is the time for the rich. And I've been posting it over and over again. Some people don't really understand. This is the time for the rich to make the sacrifice so that the poor can breathe.
As the president said.
Yes.
So how does that sacrifice come in place? What exactly do you mean by the rich?
If you don't agree with me that the political appointees and the other politicians in power, that they take civil salary scale, for instance, for now, let them be on half salary scale. Oh yes, that is sacrifice. Then let them go. I've written much about this. Let them go to the grassroots. Let them wear the tattered shoes of the poor and know exactly what is happening. If they don't, some people have been, some analysts have been warning that a revolution may come with time. That of the NLC, as a man stated, is just a signal.
Well, you still have not specifically mentioned if this is a fight for all, because as I said earlier,
if it's for
not all members of the masses are civil workers.
Yes, I understand that.
The demand for palliatives, is that what we really should be demanding? Of course, they also demanded that refineries be,
exactly.
But the palliatives, the salary review, is that all inclusive?
Well, it may not be all inclusive.
So
because wait.
What is the essence?
Wait. It's part of it. Let me, be very sincere. But like I mentioned, you don't put the cart before the horse. You look at the most important things. I've been asking myself, you have 4 refineries, they are comatose. People are there working, they are receiving salaries, not one drop. We have oil thefts. I mean, here and there, 49 oil pipes were discovered that have been there running for over 9 years. And people doing that have been going scot-free. We've had somebody who has, suddenly woken up since, over the last 2 months, castigating the military, for, some things that have been happening. So, the way out of that, well, this is their demand. First and foremost, they are workers, but they have what? They have families. They have dependents. I hope you understand that. But what I am saying is that while that one is going on, to improve the Human Development Index, HDI, of the average Nigerian, provide the enabling environment for businesses to thrive. Let there be stable electricity supply, access to safe water, access to nutritious food. Let there be what? Security for the farmers to carry out their duties, so that food can be available at a cheaper price. But the way things are now, and unfortunately we have come to a very delicate time, because if our military is deployed to the Republic of Niger and war starts, chaos take over the whole situation.
So you talked about putting things in place.
Yes.
Now, that will lead us to the other thing we were supposed to mention, President Tinubu's address, talking about how to salvage the situation of fuel subsidy removal. And he mentioned that he has given the order for the provision of 200,000 metric tons of grains to households. Would you think that is a move in the right direction, since you were talking about putting things in place?
Well, that's just part of it. It's inadequate. I mean, do you know how many Nigerians? About 240 million people. How many will this? How many Nigerians will benefit from all this? One, we have another issue, and Professor Soludo of Anambra State did mention it when they were, looking at, for instance, there is what we call the register, social register. Ordinarily, that is very good initiative. But they discovered that during that COVID-19 pandemic, the people that benefited, the list is not comprehensive. You don't even know those. And when you look at it, the vulnerable or the poor people that they want to benefit, they don't even have bank accounts. They don't have NIN. How do you know them? So that's why the governors are now canvassing that. Let us be the ones to handle this. And that's why some of us that have been talking about restructure this country. You don't need this bloated, like the ministerial list. We don't need it. We cannot afford it. We are deceiving ourselves. And that's why yours truly, Ayo Joseph Baje, we only stand on the point of the people. Because that's what democracy is all about. But what we have had over the time is what? Government of the rich, by the rich, for the rotten rich. Okay. This is the time for the rich to make the sacrifice. This is the time for the enabling environment to be, ensured. This is the time for, devolve power from the bloated center to this, either the 6 geopolitical zones or what? Or the states. Let them control their resources, pay some agreed tax to the center, as it was in the city. I used to use the example of Chief Obafemi Awolowo of blessed memory. If the cocoa revenue at that time was coming to Lagos as the center, there would have been free education, good access roads, Liberty Stadium, first television station in Africa.
Because of